followed by the arrival of Yang Berusaha Puan Anisatul Wahidah binti Abdul Wahid, Deputy Director General of the National Library of Malaysia. All members of the hall, please rise. Please remain standing for the singing of Malaysia's national anthem, Negaraku. Thank you. Please be seated. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Greetings and salam Malaysia Madani. Yang Berusaha Puan Anisatul Wahidah binti Abdul Wahid, Deputy Director General, National Library of Malaysia, Directors and Deputy Directors, Her Excellency Maria Angela Abrera Ponce, Ambassador of the Republic of the Philippines, Bapak Vishnu Krishnamurthy, Minister Councillor, Embassy of the Republic of Indonesia. Distinguished panelists, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to ASEAN Talk 2025, held under the theme ASEAN Culture and Heritage. Let us now watch a short montage that introduces and highlights today's ASEAN Talk. Distinguished guests, as you know, Malaysia holds the ASEAN chairmanship this year. In conjunction with this important role, the National Library of Malaysia is proud to organize ASEAN Talk 2025 as a gesture of support toward Malaysia's leadership in ASEAN. The ASEAN Talk 2025 is also part of initiatives of the National Library of Malaysia designed as a knowledge-sharing platform to enhance Malaysians' understandings of ASEAN. As a key regional organization, ASEAN plays a vital role in ensuring stability, driving economic growth, and fostering social development, issues that must be understood across all levels of society. This program also provides a valuable space for dialogue on regional issues, cultural unity, economic cooperation, and ASEAN's future direction. Ladies and gentlemen, we are deeply honored to have with us distinguished representatives from ASEAN member states. First, allow me to introduce our first panelist, Her Excellency Maria Angela Abrera Ponce, Ambassador of the Republic of the Philippines. Her Excellency has long championed the role of cultural diplomacy in strengthening ties between nations and has actively contributed to enhancing ASEAN cooperation in heritage preservation. To give us a glimpse of the Philippines' rich culture and heritage, let us now enjoy a short video presentation courtesy of the official YouTube channel Tourism Philippines.
When it's love, it welcomes you. It appreciates you. It inspires you and gives you a reason to go on. A reason to do great things and conquer great heights. It is there to give you courage, to empower you, and honor your strength. Love is always worth the wait. It is a deep dive into a life of wonders. Wonders that are found in the smallest of things and in the sweetest little moments, but always better in full view. Better for all to feel, better for all to see, and better for all to share. This is how you know that love is real. When it expects nothing in return, yet makes you yearn to give it back. When it leaves a mark on your soul that you'll take everywhere you go. As you walk into the new chapters of your life. But even if you can't fully understand it, even if you can't put it into words, sometimes knowing it's with you is enough. Because when it's love, you feel it.
Next, we welcome our second panelist, Bapak Wisnu Krishnamurthy, Minister Councillor of the Republic of Indonesia. Bapak Wisnu has extensive experience in regional affairs and continues to advocate for deeper ASEAN integration, particularly in cultural and people-to-people cooperation. To showcase the beauty and diversity of Indonesia's cultural heritage, let us now watch a short video presentation courtesy of the official YouTube channel Wonderful Indonesia.
smile, friendship and love, that's what I feel. Hold my hands, turn with me. People of the land, they dance and sing. Magnificent beauty of nature, among the colors of heaven. This is a wonderful place. I feel loved, I feel wonderful, a wonderful Indonesia.
And now, to moderate today's discussion, we are privileged to have Mrs. Begum Ulfat Shinas binti Amir Razli, Senior Assistant Director, Strategic and International Planning Division, National Library of Malaysia. With that, I'm delighted to invite our moderator and distinguished panelists to kindly come forward to the stage to begin the session. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome them with a warm round of applause.
Thank you, Mr. Fahmi, for the introduction. Hello, hi everybody. How are you today? Okay, a very good day and a warm welcome to all. Thank you for being with us today. A session of ASEAN Talk, Culture and Heritage of ASEAN Nation. We are delighted and honored by your presence as we come together to share in a meaningful dialogue on the cultural richness of our region. We can see many youngsters from here who are admire TikTok, is it true? No? Really? Okay. Okay, Her Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, Culture and Heritage is the program, this ASEAN Talk, Culture and Heritage is the program that highlights the beauty and value of Asian diverse culture and heritage and invite us today to explore how they are preserved and developed in our modern globalized world. We are privileged to be joined by two respected speakers from our Asian neighbors. From the Philippines, we are truly honored to welcome Her Excellency, Madam Maria Angela Abrera Ponce, Ambassador of the Embassy of the Republic of the Philippines. Selamat po for giving us your time and present today. And how are you? Good?
Good, thank you. Good morning. Selamat pagi. Magandang umaga. Thank you.
And we also have Bapak Vishnu Krishnamurti, Minister Councillor of the Republic of the Indonesia. Terima kasih Bapak for joining us and for sharing this special occasion together. Sihat ya Pak?
Okay. Sehat, Alhamdulillah. Selamat pagi. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
So have both of you been here before at the National Library of Malaysia? First time, okay. Baba? The second time, see? All right, okay. Welcome to the National Library. And Her Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, all of us know that ASEAN is a region extraordinary cultural richness and heritage. From centuries-old tradition and vibrant festivals to diverse languages, arts and architecture, each country brings its own unique identity while upholding shared values of community and harmony. Together, these cultural treasures form the beauty and strength of ASEAN as a family of nations. Today, we are honored to highlight and celebrate the culture of two members of our Asian family, the Philippines and the Indonesia. All right, let's begin our conversation today by highlighting culture, which is often seen as the heart of a nation identity. Culture reflects the values, the tradition, and shared experience that connect people across generation. It gives us a deeper understanding of how community live, celebrate, express themselves both within their own border and the global stage. With that in mind, let us turn to our first question to Our Excellency. Your Excellency, as we know, the Philippines is a diverse and dynamic country, home to over 115 million people and a rich mix of culture and tradition. Could you share with us a cultural element or tradition that you feel truly represents the identity of the Philippines?
Okay, thank you. First of all, I want to say thank you to the National Library for organizing this and for giving us the opportunity to be here to share with you our our thoughts on ASEAN cultural identity as well as the Philippines cultural heritage. One thing that the Filipinos and the Philippines is known for as part of its cultural identity is really its hospitality. Wherever we go and whoever comes to the Philippines, they are what strikes them immediately is the hospitality of the Filipinos, the warmth with which visitors are welcome and with which visitors are treated as family right away. You're welcome into their homes, they share food with you, and so I think that's one thing that really is very unique to the Filipino to the Filipino culture, but also one that is shared with our ASEAN family. Thank you.
How about Bapak? We know that Indonesia is the world's largest archipelago, stretching across more than 7,000 islands and home to over 283 million people. It is the fourth most populous country in the world and one of the most culturally diverse, with more than 300 ethnic groups and over 700 living languages. Indonesia is a true mosaic of tradition, belief, and artistic expression. How does Indonesia manage to maintain unity in diversity while celebrating its many cultures?
Okay, first, thank you very much, Perpustakaan Negara Malaysia, for organizing this event. It is true privilege for our Indonesian embassy to be here. Thank you again for the questions. I hope everybody is not too, not too sleepy. No. I mean, okay, Indonesia have a large number in almost everything, but please remember, large number means a lot of problems. And one of the problems is the one that being questioned by the moderator. It's a very good question.
Yeah.
We have a large number in everything, so how we keep our unity while in the same time we are celebrating our diversity. So, thank God, Alhamdulillah, that we, during our struggle back in 90s, 1940 something, we have this national slogan, Bhinneka Tunggal Ika, unity in diversity. And from that time on, we know that if we just, not being united, we cannot go anywhere. We just still, maybe today we are still in the dark ages, something like that. So we have to be united as a nation. We have to be united as a people to go furthermore, to go forward further. So that is one, I think it's not, it goes without saying in every mind of every Indonesian. Okay, we have so many people, 280 million people, that's 280 million problems, 280 million headache. But if we being united, if we unite live in unity, we can overcome any problems and we can move forward together. I think that's the key.
Since we have many youngsters in front of us, so I would like them to know that the value of cultural heritage. And I just want to ask, Excellency, why should we value our cultural heritage?
Again, I'm very pleased that we're doing this in front of youngsters and of students, because it's a trite saying, they say, and it's a stereotype, but when you say that the youth is the future, I also say the youth is the present. We should not just think of the youth as, like objects of cultural heritage, but also as active enablers and participants in the promotion of cultural heritage. Cultural heritage is very important because that forms the core of our identity. If we do not know our cultural heritage, then there is no core that anchors us, and we are unable to, on an individual level, develop as a person, and then on a community level and on a country level to develop as a country, and find that what Bapak said, this what unites you in your diversity, because every single individual, every single community, like Indonesia, the Philippines, we have 150 million, which is a lot compared to Malaysia, but little compared to Indonesia. And we also have, diverse languages and diverse ethnic and tribal groups. But you have this concept of your cultural heritage, just that even if you're different, your cultural heritage is the difference that also unites you. So it's very important that you always put that in your mind, especially now that it's a very globalized, dependent world, when many students like you, and I think even like us, you will go out into the world and you will study overseas, and what will anchor you there, among all of the challenges that they will find there, not just in your studies, but in meeting so many cultures, is your being aware of your cultural heritage. That is what will make you proud. That will be your guiding light in your, as you move forward in your life, especially when you're interacting with others. Thank you.
Yeah, that's why important for us to value our cultural heritage. I mean, the youngsters should know this because, many new cultures come to our country, and our youngsters is the person who are always, influenced with this culture. So, okay, we will have another question on that, but I realized that Malaysia, Philippines, and Indonesia, we are shared commonalities in terms of tradition, in terms of food, in terms of our custom, because we share Austronesian roots of many Asian cultures, including those, in Philippines and Indonesia. So, Bapak, how can these commonalities be used to build stronger cultural cooperation within ASEAN?
Okay, so I think culture, it's one of the best reflection of civilization. So if one society have a culture and it's being inherited through generations, I think that's reflect how that society sees civilization. And because of that civilization, civilization makes its civilization of a country might differ from other country, right? For example, country A, they clean and develop and also have 4 seasons. But in country B, they are not that clean, still in the developing stages, and only have 2 seasons. So that's reflect in their culture. And because of that gap, one country look interesting from the other one. And that's why people traveling. In some cases, people migrating. In ASEAN, as we know, we are in one region, we are close to each other. Migration become daily routine lah. Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, right? And we often celebrate that. migration. And the culture from country B or from country A, that transferred by the migration itself. So I think one of the key in preserving culture, which mean also preserving civilization, is how we recognize the migration itself, and how we are facilitating migration, and how we are, keep encouraging people to travel and migrate. So that's why if we want to preserve culture in our region, we need to recognize migration in, I think, in a proper level, something. Thank you.
If we talk about culture, heritage, we always relate with a tradition of dancing, something like that. So when I asked ChatGPT, what is the most famous traditional folk dance at the Philippines, the ChatGPT give me tinikling. Is it true? I shouldn't say. Okay. Tinikling is the most famous traditional folk dances of the Philippines. I mean, using bamboo, is it? Yeah, it's similar with us in Sarawak, if I'm not mistaken, Sarawak or Sabah, we also use bamboo for our performing arts tradition. So how important are dance and music in maintaining cultural identity among the younger generation? Because we know music is the best part for youngsters, they like to listen to the music. So how we want to maintain the cultural identity among the younger generation through the importance of dance and music?
Indeed, tinikling is very famous as a very famous Filipino dance, and if there are tourists that come to the Philippines, or if in our embassies around the world we have cultural performances, it's guaranteed that the tourists will be made to dance tinikling, which is basically jumping over bamboo sticks while trying to avoid your feet being clipped into the bamboo. And in our embassies, you'll definitely have that. And again, dance is an expression of one's culture, and dance is also an expression of one's individuality. In the same way that song is. And for us, what we've, with the advent of, as you said, social media and again, internet, which is a long time ago, but then which exposes you to other cultures. It's both, I think, I'd like to think of social media as more of, a great, what do you call this? It exposes you, and at the same time, it allows our youth to learn about others, but also to be able to adapt what they know, what they've grown up with what's present. So for many Filipinos, for instance, we are also an archipelago. So we have over 7,700 islands. So before the advent of internet, I come from the north of the Philippines. Before the advent of the internet and social media, and even, it's difficult you only learn about what are the dances in Mindanao, in the Visayas, through books and through, dodgy old documentaries. But it's difficult to find out, what's there. But with social media, you have that. It's very easy to see that. And many of our young dance groups, because they are proud of their identity, they incorporate that into their routines. So we have lots of P-pop, base of K-pop groups, and many of them in their dances, you will see that in their dances they incorporate traditional dances as well. So that's a blending of both an expression of their youth, of what they're exposed to now, and then what they grew up with and with what they know is their heritage and history. So,
have they learned this in schools?
Sorry.
Do school have this type of,
to learn? Yes. In school, growing up, dance is part of your PE, your physical education. So you learn traditional dances. But then you also learn modern dances. And there's a lot of opportunity for you for you to form your own groups and do your own dances. And especially right now, really just doing street dancing is very important and very popular in the Philippines. So just having that together, it's not, there are also venues for formal learning, but I think it's most that you learn this, you learn from each other and you learn from watching also on social media.
Interesting. As an Indonesia, UNESCO has recognized several Indonesian traditions such as wayang kulit, shadow puppetry, and batik as intangible cultural heritage. How do such recognition contribute to safeguarding and promoting Indonesian culture globally, Bapak?
Okay, so first of all, those recognition make us Indonesian proud of our culture. We can say to everybody, hey, our culture is being recognized worldwide. So as Indonesian, we are very proud of that. But as we know, recognizing is not, it's not make our job done. We need to preserve and then keep the tradition that being recognized is growing. So in Indonesia, one of our strategy is how we are following those recognition. We are also trying to make the best appreciation means in economic values, economically. So our pengrajin, our batik artists can live from that occupation, can live from their creativity. And I think that is very important. This movement, I think it's adopted from like 2014. It's always, and then we want to boost economic value for those our artists, our cultural preserving, and also our performers, and also we need also to sound, to voice that appreciation as wide as we can through social media, through this Gen Z and Gen Alpha. They are the one who use social media the most, so they also can appreciate culture, and therefore they can preserve the culture itself. I think that's it.
The Filipino concept of bayanihan, I'm not sure whether it's correct pronunciation or not, the bayanihan is it, or communal unity, has been a cornerstone of society for centuries. So this is also another common similarity to Indonesia, Philippines, and also Malaysia. So how is bayanihan still reflected in modern Filipino cultural practice today?
Thank you. Before I touch on that, with your permission, if I could touch on the intangible cultural heritage. My first posting as a diplomat was to our embassy in Paris, in France, and part of my posting was that I was assigned to UNESCO, which is the United Nations Education, Scientific, and Cultural Organization. And under UNESCO, you have the World Heritage system. It's the system that identifies which should be recognized as intangible cultural heritage or as World Heritage sites. And what's important, what struck me when I was there was that when once, for example, when batik or wayang kulit is identified as intangible cultural heritage, it means that that heritage is important, not just for Indonesia, but for the entire world. And therefore, it becomes the obligation, not just of Indonesia, but of the entire world to preserve and promote that heritage. there's of course a bigger, bigger responsibility for the country because it's the country that holds that heritage. But it means that has contributed significantly to the development of civilization that the entire world must protect and preserve it. So it's very important that when a country gets a designation of intangible cultural heritage or being a World Heritage Site, that really you are now promoting it and holding it for the world, not just for the rest of of civilization, but also for future generations. So that one, just on that. But on Bayanihan, growing up, the classical image that they teach us about Bayanihan is this group of villagers carrying a house together because, for instance, you're moving your house from one place to another, then the family alone cannot care, but the entire village helps you in carrying your house to move it to a new ground, which basically that image shows you how Bayanihan is conceived of, that the community helps the individual, helps the family in moving forward in any endeavor that they have. And to this day, although we may not move houses literally already, it's still instilled in our culture, when just going back to moving house, when one moves houses, you're actually if you're still in the kampong, the entire kampong will still help you. It's not just you or your family or close friends that will help you try to gather your boxes and move, but it's the entire community that will help you move. So in any endeavor also, that sense of community spirit still prevails, and I'm very proud that we have to do that. On a not quite a very nice situation, which is when there are disasters, for instance. When people have to evacuate because there's a typhoon, there's a collective responsibility for the community to help those people, and you gather, you cook for them, you bring them food, you bring them clothes, you help them, and you even shelter them. So that spirit of Bayanihan remains very strong. Thank you.
Interesting. The Bayanihan, the concept of Bayanihan is also similar with Malaysia, because I was involved when I was kid, like all of you in front of me. I saw how the community help each other, to move the house from this place to another place. It's very interesting. So I have that experience actually. Baba, I think that you have something to show us. For your, okay, are we ready upstairs? Bapak want to show the slides.
I'm not going to dance, don't worry.
Okay, here you are. Can we proceed, Bapak?
Okay. Okay, so I...
You can stand if you want, Bapak.
No, it's okay. Okay, I prepare a short presentation. Yeah, maybe I would stand. Thank you. Okay, first, as I said before, that historical migration have shared values. Especially for us in ASEAN, migration is a daily routine. If we are going to KLIA, destination from Kuala Lumpur to Bangkok, to Jakarta, to Manila, to everywhere in Southeast Asia is always full pack. Okay, so Malaysians, Filipinos, Indonesians like to go to around ASEAN. So migration is very important and increasing important. And that's why culture is being also transferred by this migration, because this migration it's not just 1 day or 2 weeks ago. It's hundreds of years before this people in this region migrate. Okay, so it's crossing borders and it forms new cultural expression, and nowadays it's become heritage. Next. Okay, you mentioned about UNESCO. This is, we have tangible heritage, intangible heritage, UNESCO heritage, recognized heritage. So we have 3 ways. This is our strategy in Indonesia. We protect, as I said, we protect, and then we protect means first step of protection is recognizing, and then we preserve, and then we encourage through generation like this. So that's why we appreciate that you invite all these young people come, so we can have a meaningful talk on culture. Next. This is wayang kulit. Next, please. Okay, so as we know, Indonesia and Malaysia, for example, have a joint submission to UNESCO. We succeed with Pantun, right? And then we succeed as well in Kebaya, right? So, and Kebaya, we are also joined by Singapore and also Thailand. So we have this ASEAN unity diplomacy for our culture. And us as embassy, we in Embassy of Indonesia, we always try our best to join any cultural event here in Kuala Lumpur or beyond Kuala Lumpur, and we showcasing our culture. So we also nurture communities here. So we have 70 Indonesian communities here in Malaysia, and based on ethnic, based on profession, and also other unity organization. Okay, so but the most is ethnicity. Next. Next, please. Next slide, please. This one, I just want to stress again migration. Migration profoundly shapes culture in both the countries of origin and destination. Especially in Malaysia, we can find in many Indonesian culture being played, being performed here in Malaysia. And also, I am, again, my embassy appreciation that the government of Malaysia is okay with that. So we can play, we can perform our culture here. So it's enrich society with language, cuisine, and arts, and share new ideas. If the people perform here, find new ideas, and then they coming back, and maybe they do some creativity, and then the culture itself is growing. Okay. Next, please. I'll just make this short. Okay. This is Indonesia roles and commitment. We have cultural diplomacy and safeguarding traditions aligned with ASEAN visions. In ASEAN, there's so many initiatives about culture. And then Indonesia, as you know, we are already a diverse country. However, we are still open for cultural exchange, heritage, especially migration, and we are underscore that cultural preservation is part of Indonesia's national agenda always. Next, please. This is our conclusion. ASEAN motto, one vision, one identity, one community. The last one community that is very important in culture. So we are a community, so we have a community that migrates. That's why culture is one culture. We can find one culture in everywhere in ASEAN. So but we agreed to preserve that culture as a common culture. And then our motto is our cultural diversity is not what divides, but what binds us together as ASEAN, because again, that's what I said, migration, we are very close to each other, so people migrate from one ASEAN country to other, bring the culture, so that's why ASEAN as a community tied together. I think that's basically all that I want to share with you. Thank you.
Yeah. That's the beauty of ASEAN. Yeah. All right. Bapa, when we talk about cultural heritage, we also talk about, food or cuisine. Indonesian cuisine, from rendang to satay, is celebrated globally for its rich flavor and cultural roots. How does food act as a unifying element in Indonesian diverse society?
Okay, so if you look for rendang in Papua, it's very easy. So we, again, migrant. Indonesia is 70,000 islands. People migrate from one island to others. And the people of Minang, the one that that rendang origin, is we recognize them as adventurous people. So they go everywhere. They go everywhere. So, and they bring rendang. So if we go to one region in Indonesia, rendang is very easy. As well as maybe satay, as well as maybe nasi goreng, fried rice. It's you can find it everywhere, and even maybe every house in Indonesia, every household in Indonesia can make nasi goreng. Yeah, because it's so common, it's so rooted in our culture. So again, it goes without saying that if we make a migration and then we bring our culture, including food, and people are happy to eat that food. So I think that's one of the things that unite Indonesia up until now.
When we, we here in ASEAN, we always doing food fiesta or something like that. So that's also unite us actually. Okay. Your Excellency, in your view, what stand out as a Philippine most significant cultural contribution to the Asian community?
Okay. I think, the Philippines is one of the founders of ASEAN, along with Indonesia and Malaysia. But sometimes the Philippines is referred to as the odd person out, because we have Latin American heritage. Latin heritage because we were colonized by the Spanish, and so they refer to us as the Latin America of Southeast Asia. So pulling from that, I think that the most significant contribution of the Philippines to ASEAN is the diversity that we bring to the ASEAN community. With as I said, this Spanish heritage and Christian culture that we have, and so it shows the diversity of the ASEAN community, and that one.
Just want to ask Your Excellency, what is the most popular food or cuisine in Philippines?
You're making me hungry, and I was listening to rendang, and that was making me hungry, and I was watching the videos that was making me hungry. But if they will say that there is this food called adobo, which is meat in mostly in what do you call this, in cooked in vinegar and garlic. But there is also another one which is sinigang, which is sour soup. And traditionally, it's with fish, it's with shrimp, and also with meat. But those are the very famous, I think, all over around the Philippines. You will find versions of those two types of dishes. And again, just to share, again, commonality between the ASEAN countries. When we were in UNESCO, we would always have for ASEAN Day an ASEAN Day reception. And before we started coordinating, on ASEAN Day, each country would bring their own noodles, For us, it was pancit, for mihon. And then each country would bring their own, what do you call this? We call it lumpia. Lumpia rolled, popia, yes. And then there's also the Vietnamese version. And then each would bring their own rice cakes, kueh here for us, kakanin. And Indonesia would also have its version. So finally we said, okay, let's just agree that you will bring the rice cakes, we will bring the... But again, it's very nice to see that, and again, also to go back to migration, this didn't just grow up, the development of this food, of these dishes, it didn't happen in isolation. It happened because our cultures, our ancestors from before, crossed each other's paths, even through Malacca, traveling there, and then exchange these bits of culture, including and especially food. That's why we have the common dishes among us.
There you are, very interesting. So, Bapa, how do younger generation connect with traditional culture? Is there a strong sense of continuity in Indonesia, and how they teach or they want to make sure that our young generation connect with our traditional culture?
Okay, so as the Excellency said before, that culture is one of the curriculum in our school. But the most important is people know, young people know, if they follow the path of culture, they can live properly. They have economic value from that event, from that activity. So they not shy away from the culture. That's the first thing. Second thing, we are now in the social media era. And I think the talent of the young people on how they shoot an event, the ability to shoot an event and then broadcast it through social media, I think it's incredible. So how they can shoot, they record, and then they broadcast, make that culture looks even more interesting. Some of them, very rare culture, for example, it can be live again because of people send them to the social media. Everybody appreciates, and they have a lot of engagement. So again, that's how we connect young people with culture, traditional culture, but also modern culture. So we just encourage them, go to any culture that you want, go to any culture that you are interested. So, and broadcast it through social media, that's how you appreciate that culture. So they can live forever. And then we follow, and the next step is recognition, and then preserving. We follow up with slowly teach them what is the value behind that culture, so they can understand what is the value. So as a performance, for example, it's very interesting, and they understand the value of that culture. I think that's the best.
And I believe, like many nations, the Philippines is also influenced by global cultures. Now the youngsters are very interested. They always think about external cultures like K-pop or Western culture. The external cultures come not only in entertainment, but in what we call food. influence us or influence our youngsters on food, music, the clothes. I mean the attire, something like that. The dance, especially the K-pop dance. So how does the Philippines embrace global cultural influences while ensuring local tradition remains strong and respected?
I think you first. I'll go to the institutional mechanisms that we have. We have what is called the National Commission for Culture and the Arts, and it is responsibility to promote culture and to support and to fund cultural initiatives. And that one is complemented by the Department of Education by ensuring that culture is integrated into the curriculum and in education. And then you have also for the foreign ministry and for the embassies. We have, we talk about migration. For the Philippines, 10% of our population is overseas. So that would be around 15 million if we say we're 115 million, or that would be 12 million if we say we're 120 million. Sorry, I'm not good in math. But 10% are overseas. And so that's a large Filipino diaspora overseas, and I will focus on that. And so it's important for the embassies to be promoting culture to the Filipinos overseas and to the children, Filipino children, or even dual citizens children that are born and grow up overseas. And in the foreign ministry itself, we have what is called an Office on Cultural Diplomacy. I think the Philippines is the only foreign ministry that has a standalone Office on Cultural Diplomacy, and that is precisely its purpose to ensure that this Filipino diaspora are still aware of their traditional culture and they're exposed to their traditional culture, while at the same time they see modern culture. In modern culture, of course, again, social media plays very much an important role. For food, having mukbangs, on social media is important, and even for the dances. But the influence is not just one way. The influence is two-way, because in the way that the youth are exposed to external culture, external food, through external dances, through social media, they also influence in that way. Filipinos, I think, are the #1 users of social media in Asia. So in very remote villages, in very remote kampongs, you will still find them with their phones and having social media. And I just recall, recently, just one phenomenon. It's called this dance called budots. I don't know if any of the kids here know about it, but it's a dance that originated in Davao on the streets. And it's a sort of EDM music. And it's the dances and the sound from the dances come from the sounds of traffic, of cars moving. And I was surprised that it was, I actually discovered the dance on Washington Post, because apparently it had gone viral. So this is a way also of, how it's not one way. Let's not think of social media and of, our own cultures as just absorbing, but we are also influencing. Yeah.
Yeah, we also influencing. All right, that's a good way to promote actually our cultural heritage. As we know that Indonesia is renowned for its breathtaking tourism destinations, with Bali, for example, standing out as a cultural gem that continues to captivate and attract millions of visitors from around the world. How is Indonesia turning cultural heritage into a strength for its tourism industry?
Okay, thank you very much. But yes, we have Bali and we have other places. However, our tourism visit is still lower than Malaysia. So Malaysia, congratulations. Okay. Malaysia #1 now. And Indonesia still, very hard how to, to compete with Malaysia and Thailand. However, Yes. For example, you mentioned about Bali. Yes. Bali has two things. One, natural wonders, and second, the traditional cultural wonders. So our government always combine tourist attraction from both. So you can go to, for example, one temple in Bali, and then right before we enter that temple, we can watch a traditional dance, and then before we going, and also we also preserve some of the some of the tradition that being practiced for years, for hundreds of years, for centuries, and we encourage our tourists to do the tradition, so they can feel the vibe of the tradition. And as you know, our tourists from America or from Europe, I don't know why they like very much about that kind of tradition. You know, they're very excited to put some sarung, and then we said this is this is a water that can make your face 5 years younger, and then okay. So but that's a tradition. Okay, so we also recognize and we protect, and then we preserve that tradition, and we ask the tourists to enjoy and experience by themselves that tradition. So in Indonesia, we are trying our best to always combine our tourist attraction, dance, food, natural wonders, and then let the tourists experience by themselves, so they can enjoy, and hopefully there is a repeat visit from them. Maybe next year they come again. So I think the strategy is almost the same with Malaysia and other ASEAN countries. I think because our ministers, our officials of tourism every year meet, and then they share how the strategy, and then they make an adjustment strategy in their respective country, and I think that's a common strategy here in ASEAN.
When you talk about excited with others' tradition, we also excited to other tradition. For example, if we go to Korea, we want to wear their costume, what we call hanbok. When we go to Japan, we want to wear their kimono. See, that's happened to us too. so we always excited to see others' tradition. Okay. I think the Philippines too is rich in cultural tourism attractions, such as Intramuros in Manila, a historic walled city from the Spanish colonial area, and Vegan City, a UNESCO World Heritage Site known for its preserved Spanish-era houses, interesting, and Cobblestone Street. How is the Philippines leveraging this culture treasure to strengthen and promote tourism industry?
As you said, Intramuros and Vegan. Vegan is one of our World Heritage Sites because it's it's a prime example of a preserved Spanish colonial city in Asia. In the same way, Intramuros is also a walled city that served as the capital of the Spanish colonizers when they were in the Philippines. You have what is called, heritage tourism. And that's very important. We do training in heritage tourism, and also for the young students, there are always exposures to that. More importantly, Vegan and Intramuros are not, what do you call this, like frozen in time. They are living monuments because people still live within the walls. You have you have offices, communities, schools within the walls of Intramuros. And at the same time, you also have that in Vigan. So very much living, a living monument. That's always very important in promoting, again, as I said, the diversity that we bring to ASEAN. And then, Vigan and also for Intramuros, like we use them for our national events, so that then you see the continuity that they're still there. And you mentioned this wearing of hanbok, which I did when I went to Seoul. But I just, recently saw that the Philippines has also adopted that, as Bapak said here, we learn from each other. So now, when you go to Intramuros, there is also a part where you can wear traditional Filipino dress. I'm sure that we've learned that from Korea and from Indonesia and from Japan, because you see how popular culture, makes that, attractive, makes it, an experience that a tourist would want to have. And if they know more about that fabric, that textile, that national costume that they're wearing, then it gives, it gives value and added value to their experience as a tourist. So really, learning from others also is important as part of promoting these sites as tourism sites.
In today's fast-paced era of globalization, what are the main challenges in preserving traditional heritage in your country, in Indonesia, and how are they being preserved?
Okay, that's a very hard question, Okay, so because it's very complex way how we can protect that heritage. First, as I mentioned, Indonesia have to know which culture that we recognize. I mean, in the sense that if that culture is, we want that specific culture to live on forever, something like that. So we need to protect it and we need to preserve it. Because culture is not something that can survive from the test of time. Some culture die from time to time. Same like maybe from other things, maybe like then they can be vanished. Okay, so we first need to recognize that which culture that we need, prioritizing that we need this culture to live on to forever, and then because we also have a limited resource. How to preserve and protect, we need resources. Not only economic resources, but also people resources. Is there any left that, for example, that can dance, that can perform one particular dance? We already identify so many dance that being no longer we can see anymore. Yes, because the artist that can dance is already passed away, and she or he never have an opportunity to teach others, the younger, to that dance. That's a lot. And because there is not enough exposed for that culture to people to recognize, and then they can live. So there's a very complex effort that we need if we want to preserve one culture. And I think we need to have a national willingness not only from the government, but everybody, member of the communities, all of the stakeholders, to preserve that culture. And I think Malaysia can be an example for that, because the government have a big attention for culture, communities also, all the stakeholders want to stick their head, to preserve this culture. I think that's very positive. As you mentioned, Indonesia is very diverse, and that means a lot of opportunity, and that's a lot of things, small things that we overlook. Everybody, if this in auditorium, if we only facing 10 people, we can see through all those 3 eyes, all those 10 eyes, and then we can dialogue. But if this auditorium, hundreds of them, maybe I think a small portion of it, we cannot address it, and that's a challenge of have a big number of people, big number of ethnicity and everywhere. For us, we try our best to preserve all the culture, but I don't think we can save all of them. So again, preserving culture is not cheap. We need resources, we need people, we need economic resource, we need strategy, we need everything, just like technology. That's why if we want to have advanced technology, research is everything, something like that. So also culture. So we need to, if one dance, maybe we need a specialized school for one dance, maybe. So we need to have a teacher, and also we need to invite people, everybody who wants to study that dance, or want to study that dish, so the food can be preserved. So the challenge is, I think it's big, and yeah, we try our best, because we see a lot of culture did not survive a test of time.
How about Philippines? What are the biggest challenges to preserve the traditional heritage in your country?
The top of I'll name 3: migration, digitalization, and AI, and climate change. Migration, because for many of our what we consider our cultural heritage, for instance, the Banawe rice terraces, which many of those who tend for those rice terraces and the traditions that come with them, the dances that you do for planting, the dances that you do for asking for rain, the songs and chants that the community does for harvesting, that needs the people and the youth to be there. But many, they would prefer to migrate, if not overseas, but migrate to the urban centers, because they think that that's where economic opportunities are. So, part of that, the challenge has been ensuring that there are people that remain there to tend to the dances, to tend to the fields themselves. And what's important is to instill on the youth, on the families that they're there, that it's important to stay and to preserve, but that also, more importantly, that there is economic value in preserving their culture, in preserving those, for instance, those terraces. So sustainable and heritage and cultural tourism is very much important, so that then you bring the tourism, and then you also promote your heritage. And so you stay there because there is economic value. Because we recognize that economic questions are primal for each individual and each community. So migration is at the same time a challenge, but also an opportunity, because then they're also exposed and they learn. But you always, as I said from the very start, knowing and recognizing your culture is your anchor to wherever you are. Second, digitalization and AI. Digitalization, because you have that where not just for being focused on other forms of culture, but also you lose the fear that you lose the creative mind and creative spirit when you just say chat GPT, draw me an artwork or perform a dance or, choreograph a dance that's like this. So that's the tension that there is. But as I said, it's also an opportunity because then you interact with, AI is happening, AI is the future, AI is the present. So, you can't just say, let's keep AI out of this because it will be there. So we need to learn how to work with AI so that then we're able to maintain and preserve also our culture. Third one is climate change because really many of our living monuments, are being eroded by climate change. By what our ancestors did not expect would happen, this extreme heat, extreme typhoons, more and intensive. So the need to be able to address that and to preserve, especially for instance, like for ancient buildings and ancient works of art. And overall, I know, surrounding all of this, of course, is the question of funding priorities that, for a government, you have to identify what are your funding priorities. And sometimes culture takes the back seat because, of course, health is better, building more schools is more priority. And, saying like, for instance, like preserving, say the National Library or the National Art Gallery, it's very difficult to say this should be your priority. Because it's not, what's important, do people have something to eat? Can their children go to school, to proper school? So that's important. So you have to be able to always fighting for the importance and priority to that you get funding for that. In terms of like also, as part of the, UNESCO system is that we have, and I'm sure I all know that here in Malaysia, we also have that, the schools of living traditions. And it's schools of living traditions where you identify culture bearers in the community and have a system where they teach what they're learning, they pass on what they're learning. For instance, in the video at the start that we showed, we have this very famous traditional tattoo artist from the Kalinga, Wang Od, we call her. And she's now like well into her 90s. And she, became, initially she was just like famous among the tattoo community. And where she lives is, it takes a 5-hour trek to the mountains to get to where she lives and then to get to that tattoo. But then because of social media, you have lots of influencers and youth that go there and they're able to, as you say, document and show how it's done. So many go there. But the worry is that, she's getting old. She might, pass on. And then how do we preserve, that knowledge that she has there? And it's good to know that, because of like schools of living traditions and the culture bearer system, that knowledge and tradition is being passed on to younger members of the community. And the younger members of the community also do not leave because they see, again, not just the cultural and artistic value, but also the economic value, that they are not separate from each other. So again, that's what I like to highlight.
Yeah, and that's where library is very important because we need to preserve our cultural heritage and our intellectual heritage. This is what we are doing here in the library, especially for the youngsters. This is why we need library, to preserve our heritage and our tradition through knowledge management. So this is that's why we want you to come to the library to read the book, to have, your culture here. Everything here, actually. So the most important thing is whether you want to come or not, whether you want to learn or not. So please do come to the library, especially the National Library, okay? And learn something from here. All right, okay. As you mentioned just now that Philippines also, your community also use social media platform to introduce and promote cultural heritage to younger generation especially. But how do you recognize that this digital native, audience or your digital native community really, as you mentioned just now that you are the first number one, Filipinos using social media. So how's your government ensure that, okay, the traditions or the cultural heritage that in the social media can be seen by other countries or by the international countries?
Again, first, it's important that government itself also goes into social media, and because that's where, that's really where the audience are. That's where the youth are. So we have that, and as I said earlier, in internationalization, we also have in the foreign ministry the Office of Cultural Diplomacy that mobilizes all our embassies so that we promote our culture. And then even our foreign ministry and our national cultural offices, whenever they do programs, these are also on social media and live stream, the way that I think we are being live streamed now, so that you have a greater reach. Second is also we utilize influencers. For instance, last year was the 60th anniversary of Philippines-Malaysia bilateral relations. And as part of that, we opened in the embassy what we refer to as Centro Rizal. Jose Rizal is the national hero of the Philippines. So the Centro Rizal is basically like, it serves as our library, it serves as our cultural center. And as part of promoting that, we had a chef come over, an influencer chef come over to do dishes that are common to Malaysia and the Philippines, and then that was live streamed. We had one member of I think the most famous Filipino P-pop group SB19 come over, who is like an ambassador for culture, and also do storytelling and read the storybooks to children here. So very much important to use influencers and also to use the pop stars that we have, because we watch them and they influence us a lot, and their influence crosses borders. Thank you.
Are there initiatives that blend traditional culture with modern expression, like digital platform fashion or contemporary arts? Initiatives that your government take to the blend traditional culture?
Yes, traditional and modern culture. We have this agency on creative economy. That one. So that agency always have some programs throughout the year, how to showcase our culture, and usually they are blend between modern and traditional cultures, and they use always one theme, which is engage with the youngsters, engage with the youth, and then engage with international. So I think based on the programs created by this agency, Indonesia now have a more integrated strategy on how we are going to preserve our culture and then blend it between modern and traditional culture. And especially inside domestically, we have a lot of event, and also every government event we are trying to give opportunity for the artists to perform. Just same with Malaysia. When in Malaysia event, I always see the showcasing of Malaysia culture, and I think that's great. That's so we modern and traditional culture blend and in one event. So we can showcase it. There is a program that being formulated for, especially for international viewers, and then one program that's formulated for domestically. So they have both two ways of strategy. So it's just institutionalized in our agency of creative economy.
Interesting. So looking ahead, Excellency, what are your hopes in ensuring that your country's cultural heritage remains strong and relevant for future generations?
Very optimistic, because from what we see now, that it's very much alive. As I said, we have pop groups that incorporate our myths into their lyrics, our traditional dances into their dances. They meld it, and then we have chefs that do variations, modern variations on traditional dishes. We have very young chefs, lots of them. And then we also have, for instance, in textile, and we have young designers who modernize traditional clothing. And I'd like to highlight what I'm wearing now. So this is actually by a young designer called Daryl Matt, and it's a modern take on the traditional Filipino terno. It's called the terno. And the terno is, marked by these butterfly sleeves. It's made of very fine material, piña, pineapple fiber, or husi, we call it banana fiber. I think this is a mix of husi and piña. And traditionally, you would only use it for very formal occasions. And it would only be, for the older people who would wear it. And it also only for if you're going to go to, for instance, watch a traditional play and you have to wear a costume, then you would wear it. And also for government people. And even if you're part of government, in our system, you wear Filipiniana, they call it on Mondays only. So, you wear that, and then after that, it's not really part of your everyday wear. But with these young designers, they've modernized it so that it has become casual wear. You will see, youth wearing this with jeans. And what's modern about this is the design that we have. This is called the pad paper terno, because if I may, I'll be allowed to stand up, because it has like a pad paper here. And so you see this, like, this is called the field, because it's this little girl walking in the field with the sun. If you remember, when you were a child, you would draw on a pad paper and you would draw, flowers in the sun, and it's a classic. You draw the clouds and the sun behind it. So it's a modern take on that traditional dress, and it's also hyper personalized, because you can actually ask the designer, if you have a memory that you want to do, that he will sew that memory on that. For instance, there's one who wanted his children walking. There's one where you have grew up in the coast, so wanted to have both. So it's very personalized, but at the same time, it's a fresh take and modern. So because of that, I'm very much optimistic that it's alive, it's well, and that the youth are very much aware of it, and they know its power, and they know that it's not something that's on the shelf. It's living, it's part of their everyday life. Thank you.
So what values or practices do you most hope the younger generation will continue to embrace as part of your national heritage, Papa?
Okay, this is very interesting. First, my government want the youth to understand the value of our heritage first. And this is also being searched by the ASEAN member states. I remember that I attended some meetings of ASEAN that look for ASEAN values. So we are concentrating on how we preserve good values and can be passed on generations. And this kind of values can be can be merged to the modern values. For example, anti-corruption, for examples. And then how we are doing together to fight against poverty, and how we preserve environment. Those are values are now being pushed by our government, because our culture teaches that values. So we preserve the performance, the culture, but more important is we teach the young people the values of that culture. And we also we have an ASEAN value, so that's why our government, maybe not a campaign, maybe some programs that teach young people the value of the culture, and then we go down to the performance itself. So I think we can find a lot of values from our culture, because cultures live because of their values, not because of their interests, because of the no. And that's why when we migrate, one people migrate to other place, we also see that values also being transferred, followed by the culture perform, and then the value being transferred. As we know, Indonesia in maybe in 1300 years, or 1300, 1400, no Islamic teaching yet. And then because of migration, because of trade, international trade, and so Islamic teaching being embraced in Indonesia. Also in our eastern part, Papua, there is the Catholic preacher is not yet there, and then they make a migration there, and then they teach Catholic teaching there, and then Papuans now being, so values from religion can be one, but also values from the culture itself, shared by through generations, shared by all ethnicity, shared by all religion. That's the one that we seek, and we can teach to young people, like democracy, freedom to speak, freedom of expression, or something like that. So we are now in that stage, but also we also want to preserve the culture itself, and then we look for if we find it's like a animal or a plant. Is there any new species of animal? So we always look for a new species of culture. And then we find the people who can play that, who can perform that, who can know about that culture, and then we preserve. And maybe diplomacy can play a vital role, as we know, because batik is now being recognized by UNESCO, and spreading. I mean, like a gasoline. I mean, it's a spreading fire. Fire being thrown to the gasoline is spreading very fast. Everybody now in Indonesia wear batik, and they feel like batik is their national identity now, and also the batik being worn by people outside Indonesia, and I think that's very good. That's
Yeah, okay. We will now open the floor for question. If you have any, please proceed to the microphone, introduce yourself, and present your questions. Please.
Test. Magandang umaga po. I am Martin Jabez Rota from Victoria Institution. I am a Filipino Form 6 student currently studying here. It was mentioned earlier that we share common roots in Austronesian ancestors. So with that, my question is, do you think it is the right time for Malaysia, Philippines, and Indonesia to lead the collective ASEAN community to having a shared cultural heritage, highlighting what ASEAN is to the rest of the world? If so, how do we, the youth, play a part in making this a reality despite having many coming from different backgrounds and different cultures? Thank you.
Bapak, Excellency.
Martin, magandang umaga. Kumusta ka?
Okay po.
Very happy to have a Filipino student here. Actually, we already have that in ASEAN, and it's not just as Philippines, Malaysia, Indonesia, but the entire ASEAN, and that is what we call the ASEAN Community Vision 2045, which was launched last May during the ASEAN Summit here in Malaysia, in Kuala Lumpur. The ASEAN Community Vision 2045, by its title alone, lays down what the ASEAN countries would like to happen for ASEAN as a whole, as a community, within until 2045. And with that, there are strategic goals on what happens. And I'm glad that you brought that question up because I forgot to bring it up here. To identify two strategic goals that connect to the youth and culture. Strategic goal 8, and I will just read it out, is that the ASEAN countries want to have a community where youth can meaningfully contribute to the strengthening of a dynamic, innovative, resilient ASEAN community, and in addressing contemporary and emerging challenges, advancing sustainable socio-economic development, and reinforcing ASEAN awareness, value, and identity. And then another strategic goal is strategic goal 9, which says that the ASEAN countries want a community that is proud of its identity and assumes ownership of the preservation, conservation, and value creation of its cultural heritage, arts, and traditions, while also promoting cultural industries. So under each strategic goal, there's a set of, objectives and implementing actions that need to be done so that we can get to that strategic goal. So I encourage you to go to, it's quite a long document, but there, you can just look at the strategic goals, but basically it looks at how do you empower the different aspects of the ASEAN community so that we get to that. And these two strategic goals specifically say that it's important that we are able to preserve our culture and heritage, and then at the same time, that youth is integral to that preservation, that youth are enablers, and that they're also actors in the preservation. So we have that, and when you look at the implementing and the strategic objectives, part of the way to go it is encouraging again the growth of creative industries, and then teaching the youth to have an ASEAN identity, and then also again using AI and digitalization so that you can preserve that. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Any other questions?
Hi. Okay. Hi. I'm Kartika. I'm a Form 6 student from SMK Hulu Klang. So I have two questions to ask. The first one is, what practical roles can young people in ASEAN play in protecting and revitalization our traditional arts, crafts, and heritage sites? Would you want me to forward to the second question as well? Okay. So the second one is, how can ASEAN ensure that cultural preservation is not just about the monuments and traditions, but also about protecting indigenous voices and stories for future generations? Thank you.
Bapak?
Okay, I will answer it in conjunction with that first question. This is about the role of youth, right? So my first point is, I ask everybody here to not look for differences. We are a community, which means we are one. Okay. So in community, if we want to go forward long way as community, we cannot look for, widen the gap. We cannot always look for differences. Please look for similarities. Please look similarities. Indonesia and Malaysia, for example. As you know, we are in social media. Sometimes we have this kind of social media war, especially when it comes to bola sepak, right? Especially sometimes to some cultures. So, but in fact, we have so many similarities between Indonesia and Malaysia. Why don't we just find that similarities instead of differences? And that voicing in the social media, firing some nasty comment on social media and then make a gap between us. So we are one community. Just for the youth, again, I encourage you to look for similarities, and then we join together, and then we move forward together. So simply in the cultural sectors, maybe we can, maybe you can find some Filipinos culture that interesting. Just if you recognize it, and then you interest, and then you show it to your friends, and then you can enjoy it together. Why not? Why not? That's the first thing. For your second question, again, as a youth, you are youth, right? Why are you so interested in monument? I mean, like, come on, man. So many things outside. Why you look for some monument? So maybe you look something more interesting, and like food or some habit that is very interesting in one country, or other culture that might interest you, and focus on that. A monument, yes, but we need our mindset to monument has to be. I think it's all people. When you see monument, all the people inside their head is the same. Oh, there's a wonderful building. That's it. So look further, and recognizing, preserve it, and then enjoy it together as one community. That's youth. I think that's it. Maybe Excellency wants to do that.
Agree very much. That is important to find the commonalities and not to focus on the differences. We have so many political tensions among ourselves, economic tensions among our neighbors. And that's why, for me, cultural diplomacy is very important, because cultural diplomacy focuses on what do we have in common, what do we share, whether it's in food, whether it's in language. You always have to come back that we share something, and that sharing of something cultural, is what brings us back to, from a high level of tension back to, to cooler heads, because it's understanding that we are part of one ASEAN community. As I always say that, I am ambassador of the Philippines, but all Filipinos, and especially when I meet students, and I'm glad that Martin is here, I always tell them, you are ambassadors of the Philippines. Because each thing that, everything that you do when you're outside of the Philippines, you are representing the Philippines. You're not being seen, you're first and foremost seen as a Filipino. And so what you do represents what Filipinos are, and what being Filipino, what Philippines is. So I always say, you represent your country by being yourself and by knowing what your country is about and what your culture is about. So even there's not, you don't need to do, big gestures that you have to do this. Of course, that's a plus. But in your everyday engagements, in your everyday actions, you are already promoting your culture, and you're already promoting your country. For instance, just saying that, that salamat, is the same word. We also use it in the Philippines as salamat, but with a different meaning. And, so there's a commonality that goes there. We have a form of the, kebaya in the Philippines. And this is, I'm wearing my culture. So in every little acts that you do, you don't, it's already an act of representation and an act of promotion. Thank you.
Any other question? Okay.
Yes. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, dan salam kebajikan. Perkenalkan, nama saya Marsha Kelly Zulaika, merupakan salah satu warga negara Indonesia yang melanjutkan pendidikan saya di Malaysia, lebih tepatnya Victoria Institution yang amat saya cintai. Pertama sekali, selamat siang Bapak Wisnu. Izinkan saya melontarkan soalan ya. As someone who migrated from Indonesia to Malaysia for my study, I have experienced firsthand how migration allow us to share our tradition with people from different backgrounds. From your perspective, how can Asian further support migrant like me in preserving and promoting our culture heritage while we live abroad?
Oke, terima kasih. Siapa tadi namanya?
Marsha, Pak.
Marsha.
Ya.
Oke. Sudah berapa lama duduk Malaysia?
Sejak 5 tahun, Pak.
Woi, 5 years. Okay, Marsha, thank you for the questions. Okay, for Marsha, if you want to do your culture here in Malaysia, just do it. I think Malaysia do not have any objection. This is a very good place for you to, do your culture, any culture. Okay, so for Indonesians, as the ambassador said, Excellency said before, you are the ambassador for Indonesia as well. So if you do your culture or you practice your values here, good values, it's going to be very good for your country. You're presenting Indonesia. You reflect Indonesia abroad. And you are youth. That's also one point, okay? So youth of Indonesia practicing good values abroad. It's a very wonderful statement, right? So there is no problem. If you want, and you and your friends want to perform some Indonesian culture here, please do. If you invite me, I will come to see you.
Maaf Bapak. Maaf ya Bapak, jika sekolah saya yang amat saya cintai yaitu Victoria Institution menjemput Bapak untuk menghadiri majelis-majelis kami, apakah Bapak bersedia untuk menghadirinya?
Saya bersedia.
Terima kasih Bapak.
Karena for your information, a lot of campus here in Indonesia, Indonesian student form a student community, right? Indonesian student community in each campus, in each school. And they always invite the embassy to come. When they have an Indonesian day or any event about Indonesia, they will always invite and we always come. If not me, somebody from the embassy will represent the embassy. So don't worry, we will come. Thank you.
Terima kasih Bapak.
Any other questions? Okay.
Okay, hi, Her Excellency, and selamat siang Bapak Wisnu. So my name is Muhammad Fahmi Faiz bin Abdul Ghani, Assistant Director from National Library of Malaysia. So I have 2 questions for both of you. So my first question is related to preserving cultural heritage through beauty pageants. So, as a pageant lover who follows Miss Universe and Miss Grand International, I can help to notice that Philippines and Indonesia often shine on the stage. So, my question is, from your perspective, where do we draw the line between cultural appreciation and cultural appropriation? And how can ASEAN countries ensure that our heritage is presented with authenticity and respect while still appealing to international audiences? And my second question is related to music, which somewhat dearly to my heart. With young artists like Morissette Amon from Philippines and Yura Yunita from Indonesia, they are inspiring millions of fans. So especially for the youth, among the youth. So how can ASEAN leverage contemporary music to instill pride in our cultural heritage while staying relevant in today's global music scene? That's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the question. Well, when it comes to pageantry, I think Philippines is more successful than Indonesia. Yes, we have several titles. However, maybe Philippines is better than us. So there's always a debate on that. Okay, culture, performances, cultural appropriation. Again, that's coloring our culture today. I think we do not need to more dive on that differences. Okay, so in Indonesia, of course, there is a debate, a heated debate every time Indonesia queen going abroad for a competition. But one thing that all Indonesians delegation on that pageantry brings, that they want to flag our national flag. They want to raise our national flag in international forum. And I think there is no negative side on that. However, the delegation, when they come to the competition on behalf of Indonesia, they cannot just shy away from Indonesians' aspiration. So every time the government have a discussion with this kind of delegation, government said, okay, you can go there, but there is aspiration about number 1, number 2, number 3. So can you please pay attention to this aspiration? Because you are coming to that competition on behalf of Indonesia. So that's why. So I think, again, I'm encouraged for not dive in too much on that differences. We have to come together as one Indonesia, and therefore, okay, you go there. Maybe you can raise your flag if you want the title, but please, there are some aspirations that you have to pay attention with. That's number 1. Number 2, about music. Of course, music, like mentioned K-pop, right? And now K-pop is more and more international. I think there is an idol K-pop coming from Malaysia. Is there any? Right? So Blackpink, for example, one of them is Thai, right? Okay, so that's how music being internationalized. Also from Indonesia, there are also some idol K-pop coming from Indonesia. So I think music is one of the best way how to promote culture and to the international stage. So, what is the sound? So I think you can cadangkanlah music as the best way for Malaysians as well. So thank you for welcoming Indonesian music every time here. So maybe the latest concert is Toulouse. Toulouse. and Juicy Lucy. Coming is Pamungkas and Bilal. Okay, thank you very much.
I like Nikki. I watch her concert here. Indeed, Filipinos are very fond of beauty pageants. You grow up, in school, there is let's say Little Miss Philippines, Miss Teenage Philippines, Miss Philippines, Mrs. Philippines, Grandma Miss Philippines. So, at all stages, you really have a beauty pageant. You grow up with it as part of your culture, and there are, numerous dissertations and masteral and, academic studies on why beauty pageants are, what they mean for Filipinos and what, why it's important for Filipinos. Beauty pageants is what you would call, an element of commonality. When there are, domestic political tensions, beauty pageants and Manny Pacquiao having a boxing bout would bring all of the Filipinos together. So in cultural appropriation, as an issue applies not just to beauty pageants, but also, in all forms of culture. And the question also, that comes next after that is who is the determinant, who determines what is authentic culture and what is not. That's very difficult to do because, again, you have to look at culture as living and evolving. It's not like some monument that's just stable there and doesn't move. For culture has to evolve in order to continue to be relevant. In terms of beauty pageants, I think Filipino culture is most expressed in the costume category because it's the national costume category, and you come there with feathers representing the Philippine eagle, which is our national bird, and then the flowers with our national flowers, and then you in really very amazing and bespoke gowns that hark back to the tradition of our fiestas and our tradition of having what you call the Maria Clara pageants and traditions. So they form a very important part of Filipino culture, and also understanding, and recalling what we come and what we represent. On the songs, it's very nice that Morissette, but also our Filipino diaspora is now the importance of our Filipino diaspora is now seen in the many global artists that when you look at them are actually, you don't know, but they actually have Filipino blood or are descended from Filipinos. Olivia Rodrigo is, half Filipino. Bruno Mars is half Filipino. Sofia from Cat's Eye is Filipino. So, you have all of them there. Oh, Cat's Eye, milkshake. So that one. So it's also, when they become part of these international groups, they're at the same time influencing what these international groups present. So again, it's now the diaspora coming back from the global stage to also show to the Philippines that, and to Filipinos that this is what we can become, and it is what we can do, how we can, merge and fuse Filipino culture that they grow up with, and also the external culture or foreign culture that they grew up in. So I think that's a very good development, and yeah, thank you.
Yeah. We take another question. After that, we can, finish our talk today.
Assalamualaikum and a very good afternoon. My name is Mukris Alfisha from Victoria Institution, and I have two questions for Bapa and Her Excellence. The first one is for Bapa. Do you believe that if Asian countries, I mean ASEAN countries, could be entered without passports like the European Union, would it help with the cultures and heritage of the countries? And would you like me to ask the second question for Her Excellence? Okay. As the ambassador of the Philippines, what are your comments towards the controversy of Nas Daily, the media company, and Apo Wang Ut, the tattoo artist, where about the classes about the tattoo classes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. ASEAN as in have one passport, that you mean? Okay, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe when we are more integrated as European Union, maybe we can traveling around ASEAN without bringing any passport. I think that's the appropriate terms. Yes. Okay, that's good. Okay, so maybe one day I can go to Kuala Lumpur, just like to when domestically. So I feel like Kuala Lumpur is a domestic Indonesian. Wow, that's going to be very wonderful. So and I think that's also can open some opportunities in cultural sectors, right? For example, if you can form a band, I know one guitarist very good here in Malaysia, so he can form a band, maybe drummers from Philippines, guitarists from Malaysia, vocalists from Indonesia, and then they form a band. I think that's good, right? So an ASEAN band. So yes, of course, when we more integrated, it's going to open more opportunity for its people, because again, we are a community. When we become integrated, it's going to be very good to us.
Thank you very much.
I'm not sure if what the controversy I'm aware of is the same that you're referring to, where this famous tattoo artist from I don't know from where, from Philippines, was using traditional and indigenous people's designs for his tattoos, and some were saying that that's cultural appropriation or misappropriation. And I think again you go back to the question of who is the arbiter of what is culturally correct and what is authentic. But at the same time, it's important that you respect the traditional symbols of indigenous groups, and that if you do quote unquote appropriate them or use them, you have to be respectful of their origin. You have to, because in a way it's a form of plagiarism if you don't acknowledge that, this is the traditional sign of, for instance, the Kalinga tribe, or this is from the Ifugao tribe, or this is from, the Maranao or Marawi tribe, that this is an important, because, those symbolisms have meanings, the tattoo designs, have very deep cultural meanings, and they're not just for aesthetic purposes, but they have meanings to the community and to the history. So I think that it's important you be respectful of what they originally mean and what they mean to the tribe or to the community that have that they originate from. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
The last one, please proceed to your question.
Assalamualaikum and salam sejahtera. I'm Zaidi, currently studying in Form 6 from Bandar Utama Form 6 College. And my question is, as mentioned earlier, artificial intelligence, AI, and technology make it more challenging to people, especially youngsters on this era. My question is, in what way that younger will develop the interest about our and other cultures?
Okay, I'm not sure I'm captured by the essence of your question. So do you mean like in the AI era, how youth utilizing culture or something like that, or maybe?
Yes.
Okay. So maybe this one. If you, I think you are a social media interest based on your questions. Yeah, you have an interest in technology, especially digital technology. So digital technology is now it's a new platform, it's a new reality to showcase your culture, to find culture there, to preserve culture there, to recognize culture as well. So I think it doesn't have to like you going physically to how to you can understand about culture. You can learn it. You can learn it, of course, through internet or through AI. So if you want to, probably AI can be the answer on how we preserve a culture that is already gone. So maybe AI can find the hidden files somewhere in the digital platform, and then they can, there is a file about one culture that already not exist anymore, and then you have a short video or some short text about that culture. So you learn it, and then you can be the newborn of that culture. So I think digital technology can be very useful and very instrumental in preserving culture.
All right, thank you so much for your answers.
All right, okay. If you have any last words, Bapak, before we close our session today.
Okay, as a closing statement, again, I would like to stress to all of you, to everybody here, not as a community, ASEAN is one community, so please don't look for any differences. Don't sharpen the gap between Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, Thailand, Singapore, and no. Please, we promote similarities, we promote friendship among us. So our culture can live throughout the years. Our culture can be enjoyed throughout the generation, through regions, communities in ASEAN. So I think ASEAN already gave us a very good slogan. ASEAN is one community. So again, what we have in Indonesia, one day maybe can be yours, Malaysia or Philippines. What Malaysia have can be enjoyed by Indonesians more freely, more cheap, more easy. So again, I hope one day there is no hate speech anymore or hate statement in social media between Indonesians and Malaysians and Thailands and Myanmar and Cambodians to each other. That's only my hope. And because only in friendship we can enjoy, we can preserve, we can recognize our culture. But probably, hopefully one community can be our legacy for generations to come. Yeah.
Your Excellency.
Again, to reaffirm what Bapak has said, and also again to thank the National Library for organizing this and giving us this opportunity to engage with students. And above all, thank you to our students who are here, for spending 2 hours with us. They say that the average attention span of a human used to be 8 seconds, but in the TikTok era, the average attention span is now 3 seconds. So for you to be here with us for 2 hours, I know that for many it's a school requirement for you to be here. But the excellent quality of the questions that you propounded, indicate that you've listened and that you've understood. So thank you very much for that. I want to hark back on a theme that I have, which is learning is a two-way. It's not just one way. And the oldies like us are not the only mentors, but you are also mentors to us. I'd like to highlight here, Clarice here. Can you stand up, Clarice? Clarice is the youngest in our embassy. So she's the Gen Z in our embassy. So, we have a sense of mentorship in that I mentor them. But I also, Clarice is my mentor in terms of, trying to understand what Gen Z thinks, what Gen Z wants, and how, there I might be understanding this something because of my age, but Gen Z understands it another way. So it's a two-way sort of mentorship. It's not one way. So you are not just students, you are also teachers to us. So always remember that. And again, hark back, we are one ASEAN community. Please always remember that. Thank you.
As we come to the close of the important conversation, one thing is clear, our diversity is not a barrier. It is our greatest strength. From the Philippines to Indonesia and across all Asian nations, we carry rich traditions, stories, and heritage that reflect our unique identities. In the spirit of one vision, one identity, and community, we must move together, not just side by side, but heart to heart, towards a more connected culture. Thank you once again to everyone for your participation. May the discussion be a starting point for deeper appreciation, preservation, and promotion of our regional culture. Until we meet again, terima kasih, selamat, and thank you. The floor is yours now, Fahmi.
Thank you, Mrs. Begum. So thank you once again to our speakers and moderator for the engaging discussion and to all participants for your active involvement. Once again, let's give them a warm round of applause. So now we will now invite our distinguished speakers and moderator to return to their seats. Ladies and gentlemen, before we conclude, let us proceed with a photo session together with our speakers, moderator, and distinguished guests. We kindly request all participants to move towards the center of the auditorium to capture a better group picture. Please remain in a position while the photos are taken. So I would like to invite all the participants to stand up and fill up the empty spaces. Let's do the freestyle. Thank you everyone. A gentle reminder that attendance form link has been shared by the Secretariat. Kindly ensure that you have recorded your attendance. In addition, the program evaluation form will also be made available. Your feedback is important in helping us assess the effectiveness of today's program and improve future initiatives. Please note that certificates of participation will only be issued to those who have completed the evaluation form. Ladies and gentlemen, we have now reached to the conclusion of ASEAN Talk 2025, ASEAN Culture and Heritage. On behalf of the National Library of Malaysia, we extend our deepest appreciation to our panelists, moderator, and all participants for your presence and support. We warmly invite you to join us for the lunch receptions that has been prepared. Thank you and enjoy your lunch.